or knew what a big klutz I was, that was probably the scariest moment of this whole presentation, was me trying to get up those stairs in these heels. But I made it. I made it. Yes. Hello, C2 friends. For all of you back there, I can't see you, but hello, I'm thinking of you. So here's a question. What was one of the hottest memes of 2013 and is still roaring today? Ladies and gentlemen, may I introduce to you Super Shibe, otherwise known as Doge. Oh, and yes, the foundation of all human experience. What? Am I crazy? Is this lady on crack? Right? I mean, look at this thing. It's a doggy. And it has spawned a nutty language of misspelled words and nonsensical phrases. And yet we love it. So much so that it launched a new currency called Dogecoin. True. And if it's not Super Shibe that we're so enamored with, think about all the crazy, mundane, and inane memes, clips, images that we just can't get enough of. What we call the visual web. You know what I'm talking about. Pictures of babies smoking, videos of dancing foxes and screaming goats, and picture after picture of what my buddy ate for dinner last night. What gives? Who cares? But don't be fooled, because this stuff is amazing. And more than that, it is pretty damn meaningful. Now, I know what you're thinking. Meaningful. When you think of meaningful stuff, what do you think of? You probably think of raising children, going to school, preserving family memories. You don't think Super Shibe. And I get it. Because when I first started out at Google, I was in the exact same place as you, only worse. Because you see at Google, I'm the meaning chick. I look for the hidden meaning behind our behaviors in the digital space. I don't just look at what we do, but why we do what we do. And here I was, first few months of my job at Google, and I'm faced with this stuff. And I'm thinking, yikes. Is this a place where meaning can be found? Or is it all just a bunch of bullshit? Like, should I pack my bag and get the hell out of Kansas? But then I took a step back. And I breathed a little bit. And then I started to get psyched. I mean, really psyched. Because you see, deep down, I'm a little weird. And I really dig this kind of stuff. I don't necessarily mean the digital stuff. I mean the kind of odd or, kind of weird or maybe just everyday behaviors of us all. I love to find the hidden meaning of it. Even when I was a kid, I remember I was fascinated by all the little kind of trivial or maybe frivolous things that we would do. The stuff that we brush off, that we don't think about. I used to love to ask the little whys. I remember driving my brother crazy, for example. I would say, Johnny, why do you have to comb your hair just so? Or I'd ask my friends when we were kind of illegally eating pints of ice cream, watching soap operas after school, saying, why do we love General Hospital so much? So, when most little kids, 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, when they were asking the big whys, like, why is the earth round? Or, is God a he or a she? Or, hey, Mom, why is the sky blue? Whoops, I'm going back to that. I would ask, hey, Mom, why do you wear blue? Oh, my poor slide is not skipping. There you go, my blue slide. Okay. That's not courtesy of me, it's courtesy of my designer. But anyway, so I mean, I would just love to ask these little whys, and everybody would say to me, like, who cares? Whatever. These are such random questions, go past the popcorn. And what was worse was that my parents are scientists. So they're asking the big whys, like, why do we have cancer, right? So there wasn't much play for my little whys. But I guess I must have felt that as a kid, somewhere in my little brain, that no, the answers to those little whys could be somewhat revelatory, interesting. So fast forward to university, and I found home. Because there I discovered anthropology, where there were a lot of people like me asking the little whys about human behavior, about what we do every day. Now, one of the basic tenets of anthropology is that we have agency. We're not stupid. We don't just do things randomly. There's meaning behind what we do, and you just sometimes have to dig a little bit deeper to find out what that is. And then after school, I found a job in advertising, where as a brand planner, I could ask the little whys about what we buy every day, from lipstick to liquor to Louboutins. Well, we don't buy Louboutins every day, but a girl can dream, right? But anyway, and back to branding for a second. For those of you who spend a lot of time in the branding world, we know that the answers to those little whys can be quite powerful and lead to some major brand success. But then I started getting restless. And I wondered, could my quest for the little whys, could it have a role in other worlds? Could my desire to dig into the human condition, could it somehow lead to creating a whole new slew of products and lead to new ideas? And so when Google came knocking, I jumped. Yes, the scooters are fun. We've all seen The Internship, right? And the food is very delicious, maybe a little too delicious. But what really attracted me to Google was its goal, to create digital products and experiences that elevate society and humanity. And I thought, maybe this is a place where I could ask the little whys about digital, about how we connect with digital. And bam, there was a meeting of the hearts and minds. And here I am at Digital, and at Google, and I get the chance to ask those little whys. I get the chance to dig into the underlying meaning behind our relationship with the digital space to help Google and help my clients come up with digital products and brand experiences that are quite meaningful and powerful. But remember, let's go back to the beginning, right? Because I was face to face with this stuff a few months in. It wasn't so hunky-dory. But I said to myself, you know what? Here's my chance to ask the little whys. I mean, it can't just be all this, right? There's got to be something else going on. I mean, how can we be doing so much of something if it means so little to us? So I had to dig in. And I picked up the phone and I called my anthropology buddies, the guys that I worked with when I was in advertising, to unearth the deep value of our relationship to products and brands. And I said, let's do the same thing here. Let's do the same thing with the digital space. Now, mind you, this wasn't the easiest sell into Google. Right? Google is known to be highly quantitative, very data-driven, engineering culture. And here I was, asking them to fund a sizable project where we would take a few guys who spent about 10 years in Papua New Guinea, hanging out with folks like this, investigating religious ceremonies and death rituals, saying, we're going to go and use them for digital, okay? It's not like you see a lot of cell phones in this picture. So there's a lot of raised eyebrows at this, a healthy debate. But they said, go ahead. And so off we went. Now, don't think that I wasn't biting my nails the whole time. I was like please don't come back with nothing. I mean, I would look like the biggest fool. And by the way, every time I send the anthropologist out in the field, I still beg, please don't come back with nothing. So here I was, and I was like, please don't come back with nothing. Please don't come back with nothing. Please don't come back with nothing. And did they come back with nothing? No. What they came back with was fascinating. And it confirmed my original hunch that all this visual digital play doesn't mean so little but so much to us. It's not meaningless, but meaningful. Even this is profound. This picture of a mangy, dirty tire. This is a picture that landed in my Instagram feed one morning. And yet, why should I be surprised that it did? The irony here is that thanks to the digital space, we have access to the world's masterpieces. We can see art forms and artwork like never before, and yet, most of what we take pictures of or videos of, most of what we share, most of what we upload are images and pics and clips of everyday stuff, right? I mean, how many times have we seen that picture of the latte with the creamy white, flowery swirl on top? Or picture after picture of the panting dog, like Super Shy. Or the beach selfie. What's with that? But when we started investigating our feeds more closely, what we noticed is that we don't just dump everything in there. We don't just necessarily shoot everything or share everything. No, we winnow away. Picking those shots, picking those videos, picking those memes and images that show these everyday things in a slightly new way. They're shot, juxtaposed, positioned in such a way to offer me a new perspective on the dog, or latte, or beach. But still, what is the darn appeal? Well, the answer is surprisingly deep. Since the beginning of time, we have all asked ourselves that scary question that always seems to crop up when we're sitting in traffic, filling out those deadly forms, we call them tricks at Google, waiting for the delayed plane, where we ask, is this all there is? Is this my life? I know I've asked that. And since the beginning of time, Greek playwrights, ancient religions, philosophers, authors have sought to answer that question by feeding our appetite for wonder and discovery in the everyday. As Proust said, the voyage of discovery is not in seeking new landscapes, but in having new eyes. I love this quote because you see, we seek the wondrous and the beautiful and the exciting in the everyday to show ourselves that our everyday lives, what we eat, what we wear, where we live, aren't mundane, but full of discovery, full of beauty and wonderment. And so fast forward to today, and we are attracted to these everyday images and clips and memes, especially because of their everydayness, made that much more interesting. The visual web helps us see our world anew, with new eyes, making the familiar fascinating and reigniting our love affair with the world. I walk to work every day, and I see things on my walk that I never would have noticed, never would have recognized, but because my friends sent me wonderful video shots and clips of these things, I now see my walk in a totally different light. And so these everyday, seemingly mundane clips and images and videos actually elevate our everyday and make us realize our world does matter. And so for all of us culture creators out there, advertising folks, designers, brand managers, maybe there's a hint for us. I know we often try to find the new thing. But maybe sometimes there's value in taking what's familiar and helping people rediscover the beauty of it, or bringing it forth in a new way. Now, at this point, you may be saying, I get the Proust thing, I like those latte shots, but come on. What about all those crazy, zany, redonkulous videos and clips like our friend Super Shibe, or stuff like this? One more dawn, one more day, one day. 2, 4, 6, right? But this isn't a sign of zaniness or stupidity, but a sign of brilliance. And before you doubt it, think about it. What does it mean when someone's brilliant, right? What's a sign of brilliance? When that person can come up with amazing ideas. And how do those ideas get formed? When we connect two seemingly unrelated, disconnected notions or objects that, when brought together, reveal something novel. Now, at the level of neuroscience, this happens when synapses fire up in our brains. And here's where it gets super interesting. Because neuroscience tells us that the more we're exposed to random, unrelated stimuli, the more connections we will make. Because you see, we dig it. We are hardwired to want to make connections. We like to solve these problems. Leonardo da Vinci discovered this centuries ago. He said that the human brain cannot fathom a series of disconnected, unrelated notions or objects without us trying to connect them. These connections have meaning. And even if we don't always get it at first glance, our brain is figuring it out. Now, what does this have to do with the visual web? As soon as you jump into the visual web, let's say it's a Pinterest page or a YouTube site, you're exposed to a whole array of random stimuli, clips and images, and they may be from a world away or your own backyard, or from yesterday or today. And there's no filtering by some outside source. No one's saying, "Ooh, that's too sexy, can't put that in there," or "that doesn't have a beginning, middle, or an end," or "that's not 30 seconds. No, anything goes, right? And what's more, there's this kind of sense of anonymity. So you feel this freedom. You feel this freedom to play. You feel this freedom to upload and download anything. I mean, where else would you have a 63-year-old Yiddish mama be called the new queen of porn? That was literally a quote. Here's what she uploaded.
A movie. Oh, look at that. This is real nature, babies. Look at that.
Let's keep going. It's X-rated.
So because of this freedom, because of this just exposure to all this random stimuli, all of a sudden you feel this desire to kind of roam around, and all of a sudden your brain starts making connections. You start becoming a mixer and matcher of content, engaging in this kind of synaptic play where your synapses start firing and boom, you come up with amazing connections. And it's here where this makes perfect sense. Why? So some dude is meandering around the visual web and he hears those screaming goats and he goes, "Huh, I think that's a B flat." And then he realizes that's the same as the end note of the high note rather of Les Mis, "Who am I in one day more?" Yes, snap. There he goes. And what's more, he can download them, splice them, edit them together, and then share them with the world. And even if we're not the ones literally engaging in this synaptic play, even if we're not the ones creating this stuff, right? Even if we're just witnessing and watching all these combinations, our brains are getting all fired up, right? Because we want to find the connection. What's going on here? We're digging it. We're like, what's going on? What's going on? Yes, I get it. And we're so excited by it. And then you know what we say back to the creator? "I like the way you synapse." And you know what happens to us? We start going, "Hey, wait a minute, I can connect that to something else too. And we start realizing how creative we can be. Hence all the iterations of the Screaming Go videos, right? Or the Dancing Fox videos. My daughter cannot sing Taylor Swift's Trouble. You know that song? I knew you were trouble when you walked in. She can't sing that without going, ah, throughout it. Right? Because that's what she's watched is that video versus the actual Taylor Swift video, was the mashup. And of course, this explains why there's iteration after iteration after iteration of our friend Supershibe. It begs for this synaptic play. You're mixing and matching these words along with its face and popping it into something in pop culture. And our brains are going, wait, what's going on? Oh, I'm figuring this out. Oh, I like that. And if you think that just crazy people are making this stuff, even brands have gotten into the mix. One of my favorite examples of synaptic play is from the UK telecom company 3. They've made a series of these. And what's also so cool about these is that they invite people in to engage for themselves and start playing as well. Have a look.
We built this city. We built this city on rock and roll. Say you don't know me, I recognize my face. Say you don't care who goes to that kind of place. My pony plays the mama. Listen to the radio. Don't you remember? We built this city on rock and roll. We built this city on rock and roll.
Okay, so here's where they start inviting you in.
We built this city
Put your face in there. I remember when I shared this with my buddies in New York, and they were so psyched to put their faces, in that morphing thing, and then they found out you could only do it in the UK, so they were like pissed at me for a week. But I mean, that's so amazing, right? Like, the associations our brains have to make. We're becoming associative thinkers much more than linear thinkers right now. And so, net, don't stay away from all this redonkulous stuff, from all this synaptic play. No, dig way deep in there and invite your kids to it and invite your consumers to it. Hell, go make them yourself and share them with the world. Our brains will thank you. Wow. Such a maze in Supershibe speak. See how brilliant we are? Now, speaking of sharing, something interesting was revealed in our research, which is that so much of what we share, clips, memes, videos, is that which elicits this gasp of energy, this kind of laugh out loud belly laugh moment. Why? Because we share this stuff because we get a rush of pleasure in knowing that others are experiencing the same happiness and energy that we are. I thought, I'm going to test this out for myself. So I took that funny goat video and I shared it with my kids to see what would happen. Let's take a look.
Start from the beginning.
And it's true. I didn't show that video again, the Screaming Go video, so I could watch the video again. No, I was too busy looking at their faces and hearing their peals of laughter and feeling so good. So what's going on? Are we all of a sudden also altruistic and we want everybody to be happy? No. It's more fundamental than that. We're hardwired to want to do this. I'm going to share with you another video and watch what happens with the interaction of the twins. See one twin making the other twin laugh, making that twin laugh, and they go back and forth. You see, we learn from our very first months of life that when we offer others gifts of happiness, we get so much joy in return. What's our first emotional reaction? Our first gift of happiness? It's the smile. Donald Winnicott calls it the social smile. And what happens when we smile for the first time at our parents? What happens? Someone in the audience tell me. They smile back. And we babies, we feel this rush of pleasure because we know we're loved. There's a lot of evidence to show that when babies start smiling like this, the mother-baby bond escalates. And this extends to our larger social network as well. We learn that by offering others happiness, we get that much more joy in return because we feel bonded, we feel connected. By the way, this is why we tickle our kids. Even chimps tickle their young to elicit that ha reaction because they know it's going to bond them to each other. And so when we get a laugh out loud or energy-inducing clip or meme or video, like my friend Siberia here, we can't contain it. No, we've got to share it because we know that when we share it, they're going to feel happiness too, and we're going to be bonded that much more. So when we share a clip or a video or a meme like this, we're not just sharing it, we are sharing in it. And we're not just a consumer of all this energy anymore, we get to be a provider of it too. Constantly fueling this connection we have with others. We call this the energy exchange. And it's the energy exchange that reminds us that we're connected and that to you and to you and to you, I matter. Now, I know that oftentimes we have serious messages to tell, or serious stories to share, or serious brands that we want to talk about. But that doesn't mean we can't do it in a way that offers a gift of happiness and energy. And there are examples out there of great brands who do that. And what's so powerful about that is that not only will you make somebody that much happier that day, but I guarantee you, you will connect with these folks that much more deeply. And so I hope you see from these examples and from this little discussion that the visual web is not just a place for 2-minute distractions, but it's a beautiful place to connect. I mean, really connect with our world, with our loved ones, and even with ourselves, with our brains and our sense of creativity. Now, I'm sharing this story not just so we can marvel at all of our digital behaviors, well, that's fun, but also so that you could see the power of asking the little whys. We all know that meaning can be found in stories and in religion and in science, but asking the little whys can reveal so much amazing stuff about who we are in our worlds in some of the most unexpected places. Now, I happen to ask the little whys about digital, but I used to ask them about products and brands. And now I ask them about beauty in my blog, but you can ask them about anything, right? I mean, you can ask them about why we Americans love to eat those disgusting hot dogs on Memorial Day, or why my neighbors insist on playing punk rock at 8 o'clock at night. It doesn't really matter. But the answers to those little whys can be so powerful. They can reveal so much about who we are and what we value. So I'd love for all of you to try something. And if you want to report back, that could be even better because maybe we can start some kind of social experiment today. Find that little thing that interests you. And it could be even trivial to others, but somehow it intrigues you, like why your kids like to wear purple sneakers. And ask yourself the little why. Dig deep. And I bet you will come up with some big answers. And I am certain you will never see things the same way again. I do so hope I can chat with a number of you throughout the conference. Wow. Much thankful, such humbled.